Good morning, everyone. I'm Lisa Nicholas, AEG Social Media Director, and I'm here today with Mark Haas, AEG's co-founder and CEO. And today we're turning the tables a little bit. Instead of having Mark interview somebody, I'm going to talk to Mark and get his insights on the challenges business owners are facing today and how they can best overcome them. So, Mark, welcome, and thank you for letting me do this. How are you?
Oh, hello, Lisa. Great. Glad to
Good.
be here.
I know, happy to be doing this for a change. So, as I said, and we all know, you're co-founder and CEO of AEG, but I'd love for you to share a little bit about your background before you started AEG and the business experience that you built along the way.
Sure, glad to do that. I spent about 40 years as a management consultant to executives and boards. Started out in energy, advising both government and private companies in a range of things: engineering, geology, policy, finance, logistics, legislation, et cetera. And I moved to strategy and operations because I was kind of fascinated by how companies made decisions. Some of my clients at large oil companies, you know, it didn't make sense to me. I thought there would be a more unified decision, but there's a lot of diversity and complexity that didn't seem to be necessary. I left the energy business, and my clients ranged from social services, education, biomedical research, transportation, finance, social service nonprofits, whole trade associations, a whole range of things. I also spent a fair amount of time in facilitation. I did sort of a whole range of things, biomedical research, response to nuclear terrorism. I always say my best ask was when somebody said to me, "We saw what you did on the nuclear terrorism thing. Can you come up to West Point and help us with World War IV military strategy?" And not being a veteran or having a lot of expertise in that area, I thought that was kind of interesting. Also was asked to facilitate the U.S. Navy's first STEM forum. I really got into a lot of military stuff, which was kind of odd, including the Office of Naval Research's, their Global Science and Technology R&D program. So it was all over the place. And I think I think what distinguished it and what people say is that I brought a lot of perspective. My undergraduate was in field ecology and evolutionary biology. My graduate degree is city and regional planning. And my first job out of grad school is build a systems model of the U.S. oil and gas system. Every reservoir, technology, pipeline, tax law. So I'm a systems thinker. Mm-hmm. I was also chair and CEO of the U.S. Management Consulting Professional Association and certifying body, and also the ethics officer for the consulting profession for about 20 years. So I've a diverse background, run into a lot of people, a lot of different areas. I even did training for trade associations, trained the Tanzanian government in leadership, and helped stand up a management consulting industry in Western Asia and Eastern Europe. So all over the place.
You were. So would you say AEG was a culmination of all this experience, and that's why you?
It is in a way, and yeah. I think we can get into it. I don't know what questions you're going to ask, but it is the culmination of the changes in business and society, as it were. And I think AEG is the logical outcome of that.
Very cool. So, okay, with all of that and your background, which sounds excellent, and having this macro view of the business world, what are some of the issues that you see businesses, and especially smaller businesses, facing these days?
Yeah, I think it's probably the same as it's always been. There's strategy and leadership, the workforce, customers, operations, finance, technology, processes, et cetera. Just some things are ascendant and some things sort of take a back seat from time to time. But I think certainly these days, it's really about identifying and finding those critical resources. You probably call it a talent supply chain. Ask any business leader, what their big challenge is, and it's going to be, I can't find the people to do the jobs I need. Now, there are lots of people who are looking for jobs, and a lot of jobs that are going unfilled. So it's not bodies, it's the particular skills they have. And specialization is an issue. I mean, it used to be like in business, I'm sorry, like in medicine, it used to be you went to a doctor or you had a lawyer, and now there are all kinds of specialists. My wife went to a doctor for a hip issue, and she said, "I think it's the shoulder might be the same thing." I said, "Oh, you'll have to talk to somebody else. I only do hips." It's same practice, but they've that kind of specialization. So now you have a dozen kinds of lawyers. You've got a tax lawyer, a securities lawyer, an employment lawyer, an immigration lawyer, et cetera. And they don't necessarily talk to each other. They're really, really good at what they do. But if you only use one specialist on a complicated problem or a complex problem, you're likely to leave some collateral damage that needs to be fixed later. So very much like medicine, that the more specialization is, the risks go up substantially. So,
and kind of drilling down that. So what I hear you saying is that today's business owner, one of the bigger issues that's facing them is supply chain issues and specialization, right? But we all know how supply chain issues affect businesses, right? Everybody knows that, especially those that are direct to consumer, but everybody. But
right.
in terms of specialization, how is that an issue for most businesses other than having a hard time finding the people to fit the slots, or is that the big part of it?
Well, if you remember the TV show House, as a diagnostician,
I used to love that show.
he sort of knew everything. He just needed the information to process. Well, there aren't many, if any, people like that. And so the ability to integrate those, what we've done is now leave the business owner as the diagnostician. And they don't necessarily know all the specialties or how to integrate them. They just want to problem solve. So it's like walking into a hospital and saying, "I want my gallbladder out. Here's what I'm going to do." The consumer is not the right person. You need the people who are the specialists to integrate. Now, I hate to beat the AI drum here, but AI is going to insert itself into business as well as being able to pull those things together. They always say, personally, AI is not going to take your job, but someone who uses AI will. Same is going to apply to companies. So how do you actually integrate that supply chain, diagnose what the problem is, identify and marshal those skills and resources that are required and bring them together? But somebody's got to actually integrate them.
Okay, I'm glad you brought up AI because I was actually going to ask you about how that gets integrated into the issues businesses are facing too. So in seeing that these are some of the broader issues that businesses are facing, how can they overcome them? What kinds of things can they do to mitigate or work with those challenges, or make them less of a challenge?
I mean, ultimately, it's finding people. Now, just a quick tangent on AI. Every technology that we've used in the past, whether it's the lever, the wheel, fire, steam engine, or whatever, has always had people making decisions about it. So humans have always had agency over how and when and if to use those technologies for good or bad. Now we've got decision engines that are not of humans. So whether it's credit scoring, the simple pre-AI, I guess, or making decisions about how to code or how to make decisions about which employees to take and which ones to reject. Those decisions are being pulled out of the hands of people. So having people who can understand how to apply that technology, like I said, someone who uses AI is going to take the job of someone who doesn't. So now finding the right people is really important. Each demographic has their own criteria for how they want to work. And there's a stereotype of, the millennials or the Gen Zs do this or that, and the boomers do this or that. It's generally, there's some truth to it, but it's not entirely true. I mean, most people are interested, they're motivated to learn and do and make a difference. I think traditionally the motivation, if you ask managers what motivates people, they will say, well, money and title. And there's a study that they asked about 600 managers and 600 employees, what motivates you? And the employers all said, yep, it's money, title, parking space, recognition. And the employees almost entirely, they tend to be millennials and younger, said, it's having a direct line of sight between what I do in my day and some impact on society or the customer. So I think we all need to be clear about or understand what motivates people, where those resources are coming from. And that's going to be the way you're going to keep people. They're going to be trained and acculturated to your way of doing business. That's what business is going to succeed with. So it's hard. It's hard in a market where the unemployment is low and people will move around a lot. I think once the economy cools off, we'll see this sort itself out.
Oh, interesting. Any projections on when that's going to happen? Look into your crystal ball. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Any day, every day,
any day now, any day. I love it. Okay, so I think that's interesting that you're saying that it's so important, and I've seen this in a lot of readings I've done. It's so important for business owners or top managers or the top, echelon of levels, top row in your business, to be more attuned to what is important to employees, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Okay. So do you have tips and ways for them to do that, and or any suggestions, or is that kind of a whole different area, another specialized area altogether?
Yes, I'm kind of I'm equivocal about find the people who know things and find a way to use AI. We don't really know. I mean, everybody's got a lot of opinions about, oh, here's how we're going to use AI. But find the people who have a broad perspective. They know a lot of disciplines. And if you look at consulting firms, it's really the large consulting firms, it's kind of easy. They're picking up specialists to integrate into their system. They're looking for PhD in materials science or a computer scientist or somebody with an anthropologist who has those. They bring those specialties and they do the integration. Most companies don't have the ability to have all those resources sitting around idle to be used when they need to. So find people who have a broad perspective. It goes back to find people with liberal arts degrees who have training in both technology, business, etc. So it's ultimately those people are going to be making the decisions until the robots take over in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years.
We're not talking about that.
But they need to be in the position like Haas was of having seen a lot. And it's a challenge to find people who have enough experience to bring that tacit information and that tacit decision making. They kind of recognize it without just doing a technical analysis. And if not the people, then start to begin to learn how to use those AI tools. They're all rudimentary. There's lots of different tools. They're not well defined, but it's evolving incredibly fast. We talk about fast, like, oh, the iPhone only took so long to penetrate the market, and AI goes from 0 to 100 million users in days.
So okay, and so what I think I'm hearing you say is that if you are an employee or someone in a business, learn how to use AI. That's critical. And then if you're a business, learn how to incorporate it into what you're doing.
Correct. And I hate to just keep pushing AI as the panacea for all problems. You need somebody piloting the ship there. Yeah. So the executive as well as the individuals need to have an understanding about how it works and be able to sort of almost be a human AI. How do you bring those skills together, integrate them, and deploy them?
Okay. Very cool. Thank you. And I want to go back to something you said about how larger companies can get people who are more specialized, but it's harder for the smaller businesses to do that, because I think that kind of leads into how AEG helps businesses face the challenges they're facing today, and so I thought it would help to go into that a little bit.
I thought you'd never ask. No, and that's having seen this over a few decades as people got more and more specialized, and I see more and more collateral damage from, sales are down. I need a sales trainer. Well, maybe you're a terrible leader. You have bad product, market competition, regulation. Could be any of those things. How do you know? And I feel badly for the person who has to make that decision. I need to make a decision now. I need to bring in a resource, and it's not there. So AEG was formed as a community of elite advisors who recognize the need to integrate those services. So we spend a lot of time. It's more than a network. I call it an ecosystem because my undergraduate degrees in field ecology and evolutionary biology, so I get to use that word legitimately. And it's pulling people together who understand the need to integrate those services. So if there's a ransomware issue, you need technology, legal, banking, and insurance. Those four have to work together. It's a multi-factor problem. So we get people together who trust each other, who are really good at what they do. They're passionate about helping businesses, but most importantly, they recognize the need to integrate together. So we have people in complementary disciplines. And so we've got banking, law, technology, strategy, staffing, et cetera. And that's the whole purpose, is to sort of change the way that professional services are provided in much the way that medicine is evolving.
Okay, very cool. Okay, so Mark, I wanted to kind of wrap up a little bit because I know, we're trying to keep these to 15 minutes or so. But is there anything else you want to say about either AEG and the way we assist businesses, or anything else about the issues or solutions, et cetera?
Yeah. AEG is I think it's an important concept, and we have really good people. So if you're in the Washington, D.C. region, we have people who can help you. It's not a question of turning your problems over to any one or more AEG people, but we certainly work with others. The idea is bring the best people to bear, and find those people who have a broader understanding in your management or your diagnostic team, who can bring those tools, whether it's AI or the specialist, in or outside your company.
Great. Well, thank you. And I will make sure you connect with Mark on LinkedIn, connect with me if you'd like to. Follow AEG. I'm going to drop the link to our AEG website in the comments so that you all can check it out if you haven't done that already. And if you have any questions afterwards, Mark and I are monitoring the LinkedIn page, so we'll pop in and answer any questions you have, or I'll shoot them over to him. So if you want to chat more on this topic or have any follow-ups, please feel free to drop your comments underneath the broadcast and on our LinkedIn page, and we'll be happy to address them with you. And then, Mark, did you want to say anything about our next AEG event, or just steer people to the website?
No, I'd go to the website at enterprisegrowth.com. And we have both in-person meetings with business leaders. This includes advisors, investors, centers of influence, executives, entrepreneurs on the second Tuesday of the month. And you can go and sign up online, or we have virtual networking events as well. So there are a lot of opportunities to get engaged, and we'd be happy to help you. Our members are very generous people. They're about relationships, not transactions. So.
Perfect. Yes. And tune in every month on is it the third Wednesday at 9 a.m. Each month. We do another LinkedIn Live interview. We do member spotlight. So today we thought we'd put Mark in the hot seat for a little bit as an interviewee, but we'll be interviewing members. So please tune in. They share what's going on in their business world, and, hot topics in their business world, and some solutions they have too. So hopefully you'll tune in for more. So thank you, Mark, for letting me pepper you with questions. I appreciate it, and for sharing your knowledge with us. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Lisa.